No, I just woke up recently. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and start the first relance. You should get a couple of people in the landing pad coming in from Sulfuric Industries side. If you could go ahead and just bring them in, just give them initial coalition member roles, and that'd be fine to get things started. We'll get them situated afterwards. Alrighty. There should be a couple more people that we'll be getting from the Discord. I think I'm waiting for a few dudes from Agrobears and a couple more from Salvation as well. I'll wait like 2 minutes and we'll go ahead and get started. If you grab everybody from your corporations and bring them to the voice comms, because Fireside's on Megiddo. Like I said, any of the CEOs, if you've got your other members online in voice comms or in chats and stuff, just go ahead and grab them, bring them over. You should be able to see the event link right at the top of the server. If you don't see it there, it's in Coalition Commons in the server as well. So just go ahead and click that, grab it, and bring them over. Once they're into the public side of the Discord, Relance can go ahead and give them the initial coalition member role, and they should be able to come up here very quickly. We'll get started in exactly a minute.
I'm not seeing anyone respond in the landing pad here. And there's only one that's landed.
Okay. I think I'm waiting on 2 from Wendy's side and a couple of bears. Maybe. I'm not certain about Salvation. Very funny, Mats. Alright. I'll go ahead and get us started then. Right. If you've never been to a Fireside and this is your first time for these things, which for some of you will be, if you have any questions at all, there is a Fireside Q&A chat channel right above. If you don't know where to see it, it's under the news and info category right at the top of the server. Just go ahead and click on that, hit the drop down, and then click on Fireside Q&A. That will be the chat channel specifically for Fireside. So we're not talking any other channel when it comes to Fireside questions. If there's anything you want to ask the question of, then you're welcome to go ahead and ask it in that area. Alternatively, if you want to speak instead and want to have your voice heard, then that's perfectly all right as well. You should see a little symbol for a hand button on this voice chat in front of you, and you should be able to click that, and then I can bring you up to the stage, and that's how you can chat via the voice if you want as well. Does that make sense for everybody currently here? If so, just give me like an X or something, or a wave in Fireside Q&A so I know everyone's listening and aware. Woohoo, look at all that. Fantastic. Alright, I'll go ahead and... Yes, Mats, you win. Alright, I'll go ahead and get started. So, I'd like to welcome some of our newer players who've come along in the coalition recently, which I'm very happy to have. So I'll go ahead and invite Agrobears, Sulfuric Industries, and Triple X Salvation, who've recently come aboard the coalition. Welcome aboard, guys. I'm really happy to have you guys here. It's been a lot of fun with the events that we've been doing in the Agrabah's wormhole for bringing a lot of people online and getting them into events and yeah, getting them situated and that sort of stuff. So I'm very happy to see this big spike in activity. If you guys are relatively new to, say, wormholes or PvP and that sort of stuff, make sure you grab hold of Morales, or Everett Chill, rather, I should say, and have him teach you about this sort of stuff. He'll be very helpful in bringing everybody aboard. He has a lot of new bro sorts of fittings, and he can get you started and those sorts of things very, very easily. Morales, would you mind if I drag you up here really quick just to have a little say about the Aggro Bears hull and what they sort of get up to? If you go ahead and just put your hand up, I can drag you up here, Morales. No, in the Fireside chat, yeah, in the actual voice comms, you should be able to see a thing. I'm gonna go ahead and invite you directly. There you go.
Oh, you guys can hear me now?
Yeah, they can hear you now, but
Okay, so we run a multi-corp wormhole. We invite people in who are friendly, and we run very learner-friendly ops in here. The PVE, for example, we can bring you out on training fleets with just cheapo cruisers to see what it's like. It's really not all that scary, and see that the money is actually pretty good. And then when you're ready, you can jump in a praxis and you can solo the sites, make 100 to 150 mil an hour solo easy. We have lots of cheap, derpy fits and even ships to hand out so that when people come into the wormhole, we can go and shoot at them and it's not going to break the bank. You know, talking 2-3 million ISK for a ship to run out and shoot at people. It's a lot of fun. You're not taking big risks doing it. We have lots of utility fits to hand you if you're new to the system. We can give you ships to jump into for free, so you don't have to worry about bringing a whole bunch of stuff in just to take part in the content. We got you covered. Yeah, so it's PvE, PvP, and for industry guys, we always have gas in the systems. Wormhole gas can be pretty lucrative. We get ore anomalies with all the nullsec ores, and we will run fleets. Now, when we run industry or PvE fleets, we lock down the systems. That means that all the connections leading into our wormhole system, we close them, and nobody can get in and bother us. So it's not the big, dangerous, zone that people make it out to be. Ooh, J-Space scary. No, no, no. We make it safe for you guys. We show you how to operate safely in there. It's really not a big deal. We look forward to getting you guys out. We have all kinds of tools. We have a tutorial, like a 6-minute orientation video that shows you how we do things in there, how we stay safe, what's expected, that kind of thing. We have all kinds of video tutorials we've made on rolling wormholes, on doing the PvE sites, on the kinds of fits that we use, PvP stuff, all that. We have all kinds of video tutorials on that. Everywhere in the chat and in our tools, we have everything linked at your fingertips that you need to know to operate in there and use. So yeah, we look forward to anybody who's interested in checking it out. We'll help you come in. You don't have to live with us. You can just day trip, check the place out, and leave. Not a big deal.
yeah. As Morales said, it's very easy for you guys to get into who are relatively on the newer side. We've had people from Sulfuric Industries who've come in recently and just had a good time about the place and earned quite a bit of money doing so for one of their first events. So don't be shy, come along. It's available for the entire coalition to just enjoy themselves with and make some money and get used to things. And if you want to take it slow, you're more than welcome to do so. Thank you, Morales. Alright, well, I'll just move you down here, Rose. Okay. So, if there's any questions, as I said, at any time during the fireside, you're welcome to ask them directly or put your hand up and bring them up. That's fine too. Right, I'll go ahead and get started with the rest of the topics here. So there's a few things I want to go ahead and talk about with the fireside, and it shouldn't take us too long. It should take about 30 minutes or so to go ahead and get through. We'll have the preparation for war and the training in terms of PvP mechanics. Now, I know some of you guys are relatively new to PvP, but that's okay. We'll get you trained up in that sort of stuff. It's not a rush. We'll be going out when everybody's good and ready, and that should take about a month or so to get you situated in training and knowing what to look for, as well as how to stay safe, as well as fleet mechanics and that sort of thing. So we'll be getting you trained on that as we go along, and that will be the training will be PvP specific, or it can be PvE specific as well, which can lead into PvP, like similar sorts of fleets that we've done in the wormhole, in the Agrabah's wormhole, as well, getting you situated to, things like logistics, fleet command, and that sort of stuff. It all ties in, so it's very easy to learn. Now, the gearing for war side of things, I want to get touched on that specific. So at the moment, I'm pulling in a multitude of doctrines for everybody to utilize, and it's going to be situated in our HQ of Sozan. You won't see anything there for probably till November time, and the reason for this is because once we have everything in place, then I'll start putting up things like contracts. There'll be a structure for Tazar for everybody to dock in and call a home. We'll have all of that stuff ready to go for everyone, but that's where we're putting everything at the moment. As for specific doctrines and things to train, please contact your CEOs and they'll let you know. As opposed to your CEOs, I can go ahead and tell you right now, it's the Dragon Scales doctrine that you'll see in Seat and the Patriot doctrine specifically. So the ships I want you training from both those sides. Those are the specifics. You can ask your CEOs about them. It's hurricanes, that sort of stuff. And if you just get into those, especially the logistics and the e-war side of thing for force multiplication, it's going to be absolutely fantastic as well. Thank you, Morales and Randy, for posting that sort of stuff. David, what do you mean? Why? What do you to the Dragon Scales and Patriot? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Ask a question, David. He said not to ask, just do. Yeah. I'll invite Randy to just go ahead and say what he wants to say about that because I'm being a cunt. Okay. Yeah, no. Just listen specifically to what I'm saying in regards to the training. The reason I need everybody to train towards doctrine specifics is so that when it comes to the overall defensive capability of the coalition, it means that you're able to fly with your friends here, with your family, so to speak, and your corporations, your alliances, to ensure that you're able to defend one another to a certain degree. This basically gives you that degree of flexibility to be able to do so. So if everybody is able to fly all of the fittings in, you don't have to fly every single one, but at least some of the specifics. So for example, here in the Patriot Doctrine, you have the Moas, the Caracals, and the Blackbirds. If you're able to fly, say, two of those fittings, say the Caracal and the Blackbird, for example, and you're able to utilize those in a fleet-based environment, then you're able to do what you should be able to do is actually train and defend your people at the same time, be that on structures, be that in engagement events, QRFs, and so on and so forth. And will our stations be set up in Losec? Yes, they will. So Zan HQ will be a Fortizar, and that will be deployed come November time. There's specific condition for the deployment of that Fortizar to make the coalition, specifically the Jura Tempest Federation, war eligible, and that will be the assurement that everybody in TJTF, which is Jura Tempest Federation, if you don't know the ticker, is trained up and ready to utilize the doctrines necessary for our engagement, because our enemies will be watching us, specifically have been watching us. So as soon as that structure goes up, we need to be ready, and everyone needs to be able to be in the specific doctrines. So it's not going to go down until I am certain that almost everybody, or I would say about 90% of the coalition is ready to go in the doctrines that is necessary for it to be in. And when I say 90% of the coalition, I do mean that you need to be in these doctrines ready to fight at a moment's notice. And if you're wondering why the reason for this sort of thing is, these guys have fought with us before. We've killed them multiple times. They've killed us multiple times. It is a case right now where it's a bit of a grudge match against them and us, where even if we stay ineligible, they will continue to try to harass us if we put a structure down, which we need to do in the future as in terms of expansion to be able to have moon pops and that sort of stuff. They will come to engage and harass. So in this regard, we need to be able to defend ourselves. And in this defensive case, we're taking an offensive front where I'm going to get all of you trained ready for PvP during that time. And make sure that when we do engage, it's going to be a way that we're going to win in this regard. Because we're not going to be fighting, unfortunately, just the one entity. It will be multiple who will engage us, and it won't just be the coalition, there'll be a lot of our friends as well. If anyone has any more questions to ask before I move on with the next topic, feel free to ask them now. You can either raise your hand or put it in the Fireside Q&A text channel. Go ahead and answer them as best as possible. Relance, if you see anybody puts their hand up, just bring them up, please. Mounts.
Randy's got his hand up.
Yeah, go ahead and bring him up.
I cannot bring him up.
Okay. Bringing it up, Randy.
Alright. Yeah, it's reaching my mic. On the topic of doctrines, in C, the people who have green roles, coalition or corporate leaders, and this is a Relance question to who exactly has access. But people should be able to pull up doctrine reports and see who within their corporations, their alliance, doctrines preloaded on. Mind you, are Logi doctrines, the dual chain Osprey, the other Osprey, the AB, and the micro warp drive scythe all have Tech 2 Logi drones, to my knowledge. In TJTF registered seat members, there was only one member who was able to fly those doctrines specifically because of the T2 Logi drones. You take those out and you fit them with combat drones or ECM drones and you can fly it. Consider that you're ready for it for now.
Yeah. For those doctrines specifically that are in C, I'll be going ahead and doing a little bit of fine tuning to that sort of stuff on the T2 side, and I'll be adding some either combat or e-warfare drones as well to the doctrines. It's not really going to change up any training times. As Randy said, you don't have to be hyper specific with the T2 things. If you can fly the guns and the defensive modules, then you're more than fine. The drones are kind of the negligible side of almost any fitting that you'll come across in the game most of the time. And the reasoning for this is because drone output is relatively small. The only time where a drone output's going to matter on a high scale is if it's like a medium or large sort of drone where the output for the drone is actually pretty considerable, as opposed to T1 variations. Yes,
or Star dominates.
Right, precisely. Yeah, Morales is correct as well. It can add T1 repair drones to the cargo, but that's fine. That's a fittings thing. I can go ahead and get that changed after the Fireside very quickly. It's not a problem.
Okay. So yeah, the long and short that I wanted to put there is we can check. Certain people within the coalition can check and see and check in. So if you're one of those people that have the seat access, then just every couple weeks, just kind of go ahead and pull up a doctrine report, say, hey, I see that you have this trained and this trained. It shouldn't be very long for you to be able to throw in the medium hybrid turrets or whatever to get into this. Just check in with your people. That's all.
That's fair enough. I'll move you down, Randy.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So, on The next topic I want to speak about consistent fleet activity. Now, Morales spoke briefly about the Agrobears wormhole and the content that he has there. Relance, I wanted to have him touch on, unfortunately because Domo is not here, have him touch a little bit on the industrial side of the Alliance, as well as, we've had an order recently that they're going and completing. I wanted to touch a little bit on the side of fleet activity in the industry specifically, as well as for PvP. We have a couple of external FCs who you should see posting every now and again in the ally chat. These FCs will be Utrecht 101 and King Amarian. They're friendly to us, so if you see them posting for fleets, go along. It's good that you guys go ahead and get integrated with them, because they're good FCs. They'll teach you from the ground up. If you're very new in PvP or if you have no experience at all, come along to those sorts of fleets. They will train you, they will get you situated, and they will speak to you, and they're very energetic. They're a lot of fun. So what I would recommend, if you have no training in PvP, and you don't see, let's say you come on one day and there's no fleet from any of our FCs on like, I don't know, today for example's sake, and you see a fleet ping from Utrecht or you see a fleet ping from King Amarian, go to those fleets, have fun, learn a lot about things. It's going to be necessary in the upcoming war when we do go war eligible. So go along to those events, get yourself situated, and learn a little bit on the PvP side of things. Relance, if you wouldn't mind having a little bit of an explanation in regards to the industrial side and what we've been doing from there.
Like Shadow said, this is more of a question for Norma. She is our industrial director, but she is currently not available. But what we have assembled is basically what I'm calling a plug-and-play industrial supply chain. Randy has taken on the role of industrial coordinator, basically keeping track of what our alliance and coalition assets are, what blueprints we have, what wars we have in stock, and deciding, what items we'll be building on a regular basis just to bring to market for profit reasons. And when we get specific orders for things, like we had recently for some ships from one of our allies in the faction warfare systems, organizing that so that everybody plays a part, however small, however large, in helping to fill those orders, build those items, and bring them to market. So keep an eye out for industry-related fleets for, for mining. These are things that we need to do as a group with as many people as possible to gather as much stockpile as possible, as quickly as possible. The more of us that are on grid, the shorter we'll be there, the more we'll get, and the more efficient we will be. And like I said, Randy's taken on the role of coordinator, so he may reach out to you and say, hey, I see that you have this, or this skilled. Can you please put this into your industry queue, be it copying a blueprint or running a certain set of PI, researching a reaction, whatever it might be. And this setup will allow us to basically just plug pieces into whatever item we happen to need to build, be it for a specific order or bring to market, without having to retool everything every single time.
Yeah, I'd just like to jump in super quick here. Sorry, Lance. In regards to what Wayne is saying, Wayne, don't feel bad for not having T2 specific guns on your character, please. Those sorts of things, unfortunately, they take ages. They're a pain in the backside to train up. T2 guns, T2 missiles, torpedoes, cruise missiles, so on and so forth. It takes a fucking pain in the ass amount of time to train up, so do not feel bad about it. If you have the T1 variations of doctrines ready to go, and you have enough time, let's give you an example. Let's say we begin the war eligibility and the war on November the 1st sharp, then if you have T2 doctrines trained by that time, fantastic. If you don't worry about it too much. The T1 doctrines will be enough so long as you're able to get into them. And as I said, you don't have to get into every single doctrine, but there will be some specifics. Check in with your CEOs, ask them about the mailing list, and get them ready to train on those sites. Wayne, I have most T2 shield and armor modules trained, so I think that should be good. Yes, that's fine. If you have a lot of the T2 defensive ones trained up already, because they take a little less time than the guns, I think like a third of the time in regards to the gun variants, then that's fine as well. If you don't have T2 guns, you're going to find yourself, and you do have, say, T2 defensive modules, you'll be among the group that probably has themselves in sort of a mix mash of skill variations where you'll have T2 some stuff and T1 some stuff. In which case, what I'd say is if during November you buy a T2 doctrine, you should find a whole bunch of T1 stuff up on market as well for guns, drones, munitions, and that sort of stuff. Just take a look at the doctrine and drag and drop whatever you need for it, and save that sort of thing specifically for yourself. So if in the future you're able to buy that sort of thing off a market, you can just go to buy all section for your fitting, buy all of that, and you can, once you have it all in your hangar, you can right click the ship hull so long as it's still packaged and hit fit, and you'll be able to, or it'll be called multi-fit. So what multi-fit will do is it will go to one of your saved fittings specifically, and you can hit multi-fit and it will fit everything for you in literally seconds, so you don't need to drag and drop any specific stuff. But unfortunately, if you are in the process of training some T2 stuff or some T1 stuff and you have to mix and match, you're going to be in the point where you're going to have to just drag it manually, or alternatively save the fitting and it'll do it for you regardless anyway. That's a little bit of tidbit information if nobody knew that. Right. I wanted to explain a little bit about the war eligibility and mandatory voice comms that we'll be having moving forward. So I spoke briefly about the war eligibility side of things in regards to having everybody trained and that sort of stuff before we go war eligible. Now, when I say this, I do mean it. So this will mean when November starts, the grace period for the coalition will be over. I'll speak a little bit about the grace period as well. The grace period is something where we had 3 months basically of no eligibility in the coalition. This was intentional, where everybody would come together, they would make money, as much money as they possibly could. I would ensure that. And you would get ready towards the end of this grace period to go on the offensive, which is what we're going to be doing here. Once October ends, the grace period will officially be over. So as soon as it turns the 1st of November, assume that we're getting ready for war fully. You'll still be getting ready for it in the midst of the grace period, but we won't be eligible. So that means there will be no actual fighting. You'll just be training and getting ready for that sort of stuff. So PvP fleets, going on fun operations, getting the machinations and stuff ready. Yes, Randy, time to swing dick. Precisely. That's effectively what it's going to be. For the war eligibility side of things, it will only be Jura Tempest that's going war eligible, unless we have another alliance join in that time, in which case they will be as well, but they'll also be adhering to the same things that I'm telling you at the moment. For this time specifically, when we go war eligible, there will be a text-based warning, and that means, like, in the announcements, you'll be told that there is, we're going war eligible, get ready. And there will also be an alliance mail. Your CEO should also reach out to you as well, so there'll technically be 3 sorts of warnings for you guys to get ready for this sort of stuff. When we go war eligible, guys, please make sure that you are not flying super expensive stuff in HiSec, because if you are, and you're, say, 20 or 30 jumps away from where the coalition is in the Sozan or Enka constellation, which is the areas that we patrol, then we're not going to be able to do anything for you. If you get ganked by these guys, there is nothing we can do if you're 30 jumps away. So if you're moving valuable things, or if you need, say, a freighting service and that sort of stuff, please contact the jump freighting service that we have in the courier contracts underneath the market hub category. You should be able to see that. Unfortunately, it is only from one area to another. And it will be going from Jita to the Anchor Pocket, and you can basically go from Jita to anywhere in the Jaya constellation or anywhere in the Anchor constellation. And you'll be able to go back and forth from those areas if you need something moved from Jita. If you need it moved from any other trade hub, unfortunately, you're going to need to go to some external services. And the reason for this is our jump freighter service at the moment is done by one of our allies. It is not done by the coalition at the moment, because the coalition is currently in the midst of training its jump freighter pilots and its freighting pilots. So until we have that done completely, it will be an external service for the time being. If you need help moving things into the area, please contact your CEOs or grab hold of an FC, and they'll go ahead and help you get situated. If you need any of the FCs, just go ahead and do this. I'm going to put this into the Fireside at the moment so you can see the tags. So these are the tags. Grab any of those guys who are associated with these tags, and they'll be able to help you out if you need things moved. Okay. They'll help you get situated in that sense of moving your things down. Morales, to answer your question, yes, that will be Tempest. That will be going war eligible, not Syndicate. Syndicate is its own sort of thing, and it's not going war eligible because it has predominantly newer players. So to protect the newer players, we're doing things from one area, which will be Tempest. That doesn't necessarily mean that Tempest and Syndicate are the war eligible and the ineligible sides of the alliance. What it means is that Syndicate is its own thing in this regard for Nubro specifically. Once it has enough of a force of its own, then it will choose whether it goes war eligible or ineligible, dependent on its alliance CEO, which is Relance. That will be his decision to make, not mine. I wanted to go ahead and touch on mandatory voice comms as well. Moving forward, so that means after this Fireside specifically, so once I finish yapping my fucking mouth, what'll happen is we'll be going in, all of this stuff that we're talking about will be going into effect, with the exception of the war eligibility, which will happen after everybody's trained. The mandatory voice comms will become a thing, and the reason for this is so if you are online in the game, you should be in voice comms with one another. This is a 2-point, a 3-point thing even. The first point is to encourage safety, as Morales has put here. The second thing is to encourage camaraderie, so everybody gets used to talking to one another. You're not just shy about talking, which is fine if you are. I'm not trying to pull anyone out of whatever complexities they may have external to the game. It's just to get you used to one another, so you understand fleet-specific environments, and it's also to encourage you guys having a good time. Like you're in the coalition, you're at our Raddy, come on, you're in the coalition. You should be able to talk to one another and have a good time. And you should be able to get along and have a giggle. And the best sorts of memories are the ones made where you're shit talking with your fucking friends, and having a drunk night on a Saturday or something. Those are the best. Trust me, I know. So come along, get in comms, chat with each other, dude. It's we're not scary. I promise. I won't bite you. I might, but don't hold me to it. Any questions before I move on to the final point? I see David's typing. And bounce. I'll go and wait for you guys. Randy has his hand up. Okay, thank you for telling me that, Randy. Bringing you up.
So yeah, first off, Shadow will bite. Don't trust that. And secondly, completely lost my train of thought.
No worries.
Oh, the mandatory voice comms thing. Some people have extenuating circumstances. I'll tell you firsthand. I play Eve at work. I work at a level 1 trauma facility. You might see me online for 7 hours. I might be at the computer for 30 minutes. You know, I'll still join comms and I'll mute up. I'll get moved to AFK about 13 times a day. But if you're not in a situation where you can talk, but you can log into the computer and orbit a Veldspar rock or something, then that's okay. The biggest thing, as with anything, is communicate with the powers that be. Let people know, hey, I'm online, but this is my circumstance. I cannot join voice. I cannot join fleets. Right. We have buried in this Discord at least 3 different posts about available time zones for when we can expect people to be available for fleets. And they never end up getting enough of a reaction or response to really go off of. Not to mention we've changed staff like a lot. There's been a lot of changes since we started.
Right.
So, with that being said, anything that comes up that is in conflict with something that has been brought up today, it doesn't mean that we're booting you out the door. It just means you got to talk to us. We're not going to get mad. IRL first is a very predominant mentality we have over here. We just got to know there's IRL.
Yeah, we can't tell if anybody is going through anything or if there are things happening if you don't let us know. So, like, just either come talk to myself, grab Lance, anybody who is in any, as Randy said, in a quote on position of power. Grab one of us, let us know. If you don't feel comfortable talking to anybody specifically, come grab me. I promise I'm friendly, and just let me know, and that'll be fine. Okay.
And you don't have to go into detail. That is right. The opposite end of the spectrum. We have had that problem where people go into Coalition General and decide to post about their fucking divorce and losing their 3 kids. We don't need to know. We don't. We're here for you, but we don't need to know the details. Yeah. I don't need to know that your dick doesn't work. Just let us know something is going on and proceed from there.
Right.
I want to thank Randy for opening a window into his psyche with the group. It's always a good first step to share.
Yeah. If you need to talk about anything, I promise you I've heard worse, so you can talk to me. I've probably also seen and been inside of worse. That's kind of...
I'm moving you down now, Randy. We're gonna move
me back.
And moving him down. Handy dandy Randy, everybody, give him a fucking wave in Fireside Q&A. God damn it, Randy. As you can see, we try not to take things hyper seriously. Just let us know if you have something going on. But the voice comms will become a mandatory thing. So if you're online, get into voice comms. If you see other people who are online, encourage them to get into voice comms as well. It is really paramount to get you guys talking and having fun with one another, and actually being able to talk to each other as well. So please do that sort of stuff. I wanted to move on to the final point, so we'll be wrapping up the Fireside in the next 10 or so minutes, so please stick around. That is the war. So when we get started on this offensive, and again, this is purely, there's no hard date for this. The grace period will end in November. The 1st of November. That's a hard date. That's when the grace period ends. That does not mean that is when the war starts. The reason for this is, like I said, training, doctrines, that sort of stuff. If, for example, we are ready by the 1st of November, then fantastic. We're ready by the 1st of November. If we're ready by the 1st of December, then we are ready by the 1st of December. I will take it as is necessary to ensure everybody is doctrine trained and they're comfortable in PvP. Once those 2 factors have made themselves abundantly clear, then we will begin. Does that make sense? Give me an X in Fireside if that makes sense to you, so I know everyone can understand what I'm saying. Fucking fantastic. Randy, you're fired for putting a Z. And you mounts for an O. God damn it, Raz of the fucking. You know what? Fuck all you guys. But yeah, thank you for confirming that makes sense. So I just want to stress that sort of thing. Do not panic if you don't have hyper specific T2 things. Mounts, you're fucking fired. Don't panic if you have hyper specific things trained. Like, you don't need insanely blingy doctrines to come on these sorts of fleets or be part of the war eligible stuff. You just need to be trained into it. That's another thing, actually. If you're in Syndicate and you don't have, say, another character that's able to do PvP stuff, I would encourage you to contact Relance after this as soon as possible and get you training with an alt account. He can also help you, and Morales can help you as well, achieve a mega in the wormhole by getting income really, really quickly. Like, we're gonna need as many bodies, so if you don't have a secondary character and you're in Syndicate specifically, then get that sort of character ready. Have them join either the RDX 13 flight school, or have them join the DA, and we'll get you situated. Really sort of stuff. As Morales says here as well, 2 sites a day will keep the IRL money prices away. That should be a fucking quote. Randy, grab that, make that a quote in the fucking coalition thing. I like that. Yeah, fucking that almost threw me off my train of thought. So yeah, if you don't have a PvP specific character in Syndicate, grab hold of Relance, get that thing trained, and you'll be fine to go. Now, continuing with the war side of things, if, for example, we go eligible on the 1st of November, and I'm comfortable that everybody is trained, then what will happen is you'll be notified for this sort of thing. There will be at least a 2 or 3 day period where I'm getting everybody into their war specific doctrines, telling them what's going to happen. So you'll have like a briefing on the first day, you'll have everything ready for you on the second day, and the third day will be just double checking all the stuff that we're getting ready for. So you have doctrines, you have backup doctrines, you have your clones set, you have multiple clones ready, and so on and so forth. And I will get you ready for all these sorts of things. So do not worry about it. That will be the war specific stuff. That will be when it starts. Okay? So you will be prepared for this sort of thing. That will be, again, when we're ready for that sort of stuff. When it comes to fleet fighting and wars, if this is some of your guys' first war, just get strapped in ready. It might be a little bit daunting when you get started and you start seeing all the flashy, scary red. Please, please, please do not panic. That is the worst thing you can do. You'll get ready for this stuff on fleets. There will be big, scary things shooting you. There will be big, scary things trying to kill you. Do not worry about it. We will have logistics there. We will have other people there. It is fine. If you do get a little bit panicky for this sort of thing, the worst thing you could do is warp off. Because if you warp off during an engagement of this size, specifically for a war, one, you're going to annoy your FC, but like genuinely annoy your FC. And two, you're going to put everybody else in a state of disarray. Because if we lose, say, one person in logistics and they warp off intentionally, that then affects the capacitor chain for the logistics, as well as reduces the logistics sorts of capability when it comes to the fleet. So if that one logistics is the difference between the fleet staying up or the fleet going down, and you warp off, you fuck it up. So if you're worried about that sort of stuff, don't worry about getting shot, don't worry about taking damage. It will happen, it will always happen in EVE, regardless of whatever you do. Don't get worried about it. We'll train you up for this sort of stuff, you will be fine. If there are any questions to that sort of stuff, go ahead and ask them in the Fireside Q&A again. Raise your hand. We encourage you to be vocal about your opinions, please. Just not about like your specific fetishes. If you have that sort of thing, go to Randy specifically, and he'll keep it. Like he'll put it somewhere in a hole. But anything else, raise your hand, ask a question. Don't worry about that sort of stuff too much. When the grace period ends, this will probably be the last grace period we have for a little while. And this will be intentional because it is the coalition at this point will now be 6 months old. We have not been around for a long time. We are very, very new. So after this, there will be no grace periods for a certain amount of time. We'll be staying eligible if necessary to do so. If there is like an emergency sort of thing, we have to go ineligible, then that's, that is what it is. But we'll be staying eligible. There will be a lot of different things. Taxations and stuff will be coming into place, but that will be specific. It'll be like orientated to once a month moon pops, the same way you have like your once a month fireside. Your CEOs or your alliance CEOs specifically will tell you more about that stuff. If you don't hear anything about it, assume nothing about it is being done as of current. Also, yeah, Ayana, where the fuck have you been hiding? You like fucking popped out and appeared out of nowhere, like a daisy from the snow. Some of you guys will get that reference. If you do, just know you're awesome. If you don't, then just gonna have to be disappointed in you. But yeah. So I'll go ahead and wrap this stuff up. Before I go, if anybody has any more questions, please go ahead and ask them in the Fireside Q&A. I will be here for a moment or two before I officially wrap this up and kick all of you. Wayne and Relance are typing. Fantastic.
I'm not typing.
Oh, you're not typing? Okay. Wayne, for anybody wondering, 78 million a day per character is what you need to keep a mega. Yeah, if you think of it in that regard, guys, it's really not too difficult to get a mega, and Randy is correct. That is for now. The current prices for a mega, someone correct me if I'm wrong, if they're near a trade hub, I think is between 1.7 to 2.3, something like that. Yes, Wayne, it did used to be 30 fucking prices. Like, that's more than double. That's almost fucking triple. Oh my god. Yeah, it's bad. But yeah, if you go on regular operations with, say, Morales and the Aggro Bears or Relance and the Wormhole stuff, you'll be able to earn that so quickly. Like, it's really not difficult to get into that sort of stuff. You can train multiple characters doing it. So yeah, don't worry about getting money. If you need money, get in contact with the appropriate guys. Morales and Relance are your guys, or me if you want to, and we'll help you get situated. We'll help you get money, income, and flowing. So don't worry about it. There's a lot of ways to do it passively. There's a lot of ways to do it actively. So just get in contact with the right people, and they'll help you out. So don't worry about your Omega sort of stuff. We'll help you not pay for your account. Yeah, as you can see, the posting the wormhole sorts of stuff here. I wanted to touch on one thing Randy said a little earlier as well: becoming accustomed to losing ships. In the war, there is going to be time where you're going to lose ships. Don't worry about it. Seriously. Nobody is going to be mad about you losing ships unless you lose it in sort of like a really weird or kind of stupid sort of way, in which case we'll probably be a little disappointed, but we're not going to be mad. The only time you'll ever see anybody here getting mad for any specific reasons, like in the upper echelons of leadership, is if you do something consistently, like let's say you lose 3 freighters in a day or something. Like, that's stupid. Why are you doing that? That's the only time I'm probably going to get annoyed about something. But if you lose a ship, don't worry about it. If it's 50 mil, if it's 200 mil, whatever, forget it. Like, you'll lose things, right? But just get used to the fact that you will lose ships eventually. And as Randy says, do not undock freighter characters at war. Like, if you have your freighter characters in Tempest and we're in the midst of a war, don't undock it, guys. Just don't do it. Just don't. No matter how skilled you think you are at something, no matter how many people there are ready to protect you, just don't. Just leave it for a non-war eligible fucking person, or go to the courier contracts and get something moved by that. And as Vala says it as well, do not undock clones with expensive implants. You will get killed, and you will probably get a bollocking from your CEO for that sort of stuff. Just don't do it, guys. Like, just don't. And don't listen to Ayana either, where he says undocking dreads before freighters. Like, completely disregard Ayana. So yeah, right. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. and close this fireside. I see David type. Do you have a question, David, before I wrap this up? I'm assuming you do because of typing. No? Okay. Right. I'm going to go ahead and start closing some stuff up. Remember, guys, after the mandatory voice comms, so after I wrap this up, go to your voice comms, which will be Coalition General. Go down there, go chit chat with one another, and have fun.